I'm Olivia. I am a wildlife and travel photographer. My goal is to inspire people to give a shit.
I'm Pat. Spent 10 years in the Marine Corps. I have strong views on conservation and the U.S. Constitution.
We will discuss topics like yoga,
How to gut a deer and not fuck up your meat.
orgasmic meditation,
Full body orgasms.
life after divorce.
Life after death.
Why the fuck do we still use plastic bags?
Why can't everyone learn guitar in school?
What do you look for in the perfect photo?
What's in my food?
What's in my mouth?
We might also dabble in a little bit of motorcycles. That's right. She rides a Harley, bitches. While our upbringings drastically differed,
Our ability to communicate and be open-minded has allowed us to strengthen our relationship. So this podcast is here for you to broaden your horizons, possibly change your perspective on a topic. So we hope you enjoy listening to the Hunter and Hippie. Welcome to the Hunter and Hippie. My name is Olivia.
my name is Pat.
And this is episode 21. I did some research recently on our episodes and the audience engagement. And when I did that, I came to a realization that you guys really seem to like the real, the raw, relationship type content. So if that's wrong, we encourage you to first engage in the videos that you resonate with, because that's what we're looking at. But if it is accurate, our most interactive episode was talking about life as a single parent. And then the close follow-up with engagement was how to detox your home and clean up your life. So we are following the trends. We're following you guys and what you want to hear. So today we are kind of shifting it a little bit, and we're doing more of a Q&A. And the questions are based on our relationship being somewhat new and being a blended family, the intricacies of it not being mom and dad in the house and it being, say, mom and boyfriend or dad and girlfriend. We have a stack of questions that some of you have sent us to answer on the show, as well as questions that we came up with to talk about. So once again, we say it in every episode. If you like this episode, please show us some love by thumbs upping, commenting, maybe following up with more questions that you want us to talk about.
Subscribe.
That's always a good indicator. Anything you want to add before we get going?
Yeah, some of the feedback from you guys has been get unedited, raw, from the heart type communication. So that's what we're going to do today.
And how do you feel about that?
I don't like it.
You don't like it? Yeah, so that's kind of why we haven't been super personal. Is Pat is pretty private. And if you know me, know my family, we are like the opposite. And that might be just because of our different upbringings. You know, I've been sharing my life, sharing what I do, my passions since I was a teenager, going on these big events, these art auctions, and like basically being on display for people to ask whatever question they want. For me, I've learned to keep stuff to myself because I used to like overshare with people that don't deserve that information. And then you are very private, don't ask for help, very Capricorn. And so we have learned to kind of take each other's traits and mesh them into, I think, a well-rounded couple.
Yeah, I think my upbringing was more big city. And if you knew my business, it was because we were friends. If you didn't know my business, it's because I didn't want you to know. Our family wasn't in any type of position where we were forced to or had to or even wanted to put our information out there. It was always stick to yourself, keep it tight. And that's the way I've been until we got together.
Is that a good or bad thing?
We'll find out. I think it's good overall.
Yeah. And I have learned to not share as much. While I was going through my divorce, it got really ugly. And I shared with people more information, looking back, more information than I would have liked to. Not only because we got back together after a year apart, and then those people that knew all the details then were like, what the hell are you doing? But also just certain people don't have the right or don't deserve to know such personal information. So we'll be sharing personal content on this episode, but not like super, super personal.
You're not getting the details.
Yeah, you're not getting like the dirty details of our sex life because it's wonderful. And that's all you need to know. These episodes are sponsored by Liv Me Be. That is my company. I am a travel and landscape photographer. I just started kind of opening myself up to more people photography, like weddings and engagements, that type of thing. But what I love to do is capturing nature in its beauty and bringing that sense of calm into people's homes through my fine art photography.
And it's also sponsored by Premier Mobile Detailing. We are a detail company in the Black Hills servicing you and your vehicles, whether it's motorcycles, cars, RVs, boats, trailers, whatever you got.
Boats and owls.
We will be what? The benefit to Premier Mobile Detailing versus the others is I come to you. So that's it.
Man of many words.
Everything else is the same. I'm about $40 cheaper than the
and
competition.
super OCD. I mean, you got your marine background, and I think that's always an indicator of somebody who knows how to clean something and clean it well. I just had my car cleaned by him, and it looked so much freaking better. Oh my gosh. And I got to watch you bend over and clean out the back of it.
Was I wearing the pants that had a hole in the butt?
Yeah.
Okay.
I probably stuck my finger in that hole. Not the hole, like his hole in his pants. Anyway, so now that we've talked about our sponsors and your holes and how I enjoy them,
Jesus. Wow.
and I don't think we can cut this out because our
No.
faces are getting really red.
Yeah.
You know that thing I posted?
Oh, yeah.
The before and after.
Mhm.
Like, should we cut out what I cut out or should we leave it in? We left it in, and I hope you guys liked it. So back to being somewhat professional, we are going to get right into it.
Yeah, first Uncle D.
You're stuck. Jesus.
Get it?
Okay. Yeah, I do. I get it.
Because you touched my hole, touching yours.
What hole? I didn't talk about a hole.
You just said you fingered my hole.
Yeah, but I didn't talk about my hole. Okay. Anyway, all right. Ready?
You said we're going to get into it.
Yeah, into it.
Well,
Into it.
Oh,
Jesus
well.
Christ. Okay, people. See, we said we weren't going to get personal, and now it's
Whatever.
getting really dirty.
okay.
Can't take you.
So what's the
anywhere.
first question that we got from the audience?
This is a question from one of our listeners. Can you talk about how much it takes to start loving yourself and rebuilding a new life, whether it be alone or with a new partner? How does that look? Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's a multifaceted question.
Well, we have multifaceted followers and listeners.
So I'll first start with what does it take to start loving yourself? That's still an ongoing struggle with me personally. I came from a world where your performance never meets expectations. In the Marine Corps, they're always striving to make you better. So I was never satisfied with anything in life. And I've had, past relationships tell me that where, oh, you're just never satisfied. You're always looking for the bigger, the better, the more luxurious, the better accommodations, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm getting older. I used to be able to sleep on a pile of rocks, but now I'd like a really soft, nice mattress.
Yes.
But what it takes to start loving yourself. I mean, I feel now that you can't extend love to another person if you don't first love yourself. And whatever it is that you went through, I think I know who this is. Whatever it is that you went through, just you can't blame other people for what took place. You have to take responsibility and ownership for it. Once you take ownership for it, you're then able to look at yourself truthfully and say, I lack in these areas, or I'm very good in these areas. And it doesn't mean that you can't love yourself. It just means that you have some stuff to work on, but you're not a complete failure. And if you are a complete failure, well, then work on it.
You got a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah. And And so loving yourself, I mean, there's materialistic ways to show that. A lot of people say, oh, self-love, self-care, and they go get their hair and their nails and their pedicures and manicures, and they go shopping, and what do they call it? Retail therapy.
Right.
And they do all these false things. Those all fade over time. You know, you got to look at yourself as a person and say, okay, you know, I lack empathy, I lack sympathy. But in order to really truly love yourself, you have to set self expectations that are attainable and then meet those expectations. And as you start meeting them, surpassing them, moving on to the next one, you're able to look at yourself and go, oh, you know what? I'm accomplishing some stuff. And then you start to gain confidence with yourself. Some people choose therapy. I prefer not to. I prefer to work through my own things with people that are close to me and know me. And like you, for example, I'll lean on you when I'm feeling doubtful on myself. And, you know, you kind of set a rule that I'm not allowed to talk shit about myself.
When you do it, I normally say, hey, you don't talk about my boyfriend like that.
Right. Yeah. But it's not difficult to do. It just takes work. So, you know, find little things, daily wins, celebrate the small wins, and you'll find that you're putting yourself in a better mood. You could also chalk it up to like outside factors that are causing you to be overly stressed with yourself. Maybe you're not, you know, performing at work or work.
I mean, social media, if you compare yourself to, you know, somebody's the highlight reel, like that's, I think I notice if I'm on my phone too much, I get that like I'm far behind. I'm not where others are. And then I realize where it came from. I'm like, oh, like it's just somebody's social media that I'm comparing myself to.
Yeah. And social media is dangerous because, you know, they use models for damn near everything for any advertisement. You know, they're advertising testosterone replacement therapy, you know, and that's all something I'm looking into because I'm 42 years old. I'm reaching a point of my testosterone might start to decline. But
it hasn't.
Right. But you know, you look at those dudes on the ad and you're like, God, how's that guy 45 years old? And he looks like he's 25 and he looks like he's, you know, some fucking Navy SEAL that just got out of buds. So it's a lot of falsehoods. You got to be able to separate those falsehoods and be able to monitor your own progress and give yourself your own grade, if you will, and say, you know, I achieved. What's the next goal? Once I establish this next goal, then that's what I'm going to work towards. And, you know, if it's depression and doubt and fear and all that stuff, you just got to grind through it. And once you get through it, you'll come out on the other end of it, and you'll either have learned something, because in my opinion, you don't fail. You either learn or you succeed. So you'll learn from it. And if you didn't learn anything from it, well, then do it over again because you missed something. Rebuilding a new life alone or with a partner. In building the new life, what you need to do is don't start pointing fingers at the fault. Don't point it at yourself. Don't point it at past relationships. Don't point it at your past situations and scenarios. You know, I know many, many, many drug addicts who have completely turned their life around, and, you know, they're sober 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. And had they stayed in the path that they were in, you know, obviously they would end up either in jail
or dead,
or in a really bad place. So they rebuilt their life based off of avoiding that one conflict that they.
So wait, you're talking about rebuilding your life, and now you're talking about drug addicts.
Yeah, because
can we talk about you? You're not a drug addict,
right?
So I want to talk about you. And how do you rebuild? You went through divorce.
Yeah.
You split up. How did you rebuild your life, your sense of self after an ugly split up?
You know, again, I didn't look back at who was to blame for everything. I looked at the reality of it, and the reality of it is I wasn't being honest with myself. I wasn't being honest with my ability or inability to act on certain topics, whether it be communication or showing love, expressing love, any type of expression. I found myself very closed off and shut down. And communication with you, communication with people that I trust was key for me in order to not feel like what I just did was a terrible mistake or what I just did was a error in judgment. And once I'm able to basically sit down and look at the pros and cons of my decision, I'm able to then set a goal going back to loving yourself, but set a goal like you would for yourself, but now you're setting it for your life. Like, okay, the fucking house is in limbo. I have to live somewhere. I'm not just supporting myself. I need an apartment. I need a house. Do I need a condo? Can I live in a travel trailer? You know, whatever your means are, whatever that may be, you start to rebuild your own life by communicating what your problems were and how you're going to change that. And if you can't approach your new life with some sense of direction, then you're just going to fall back into what you just ended. So there's no point in rebuilding if you're not willing to learn or grow or establish a new
base standard.
Establish a new standard for yourself. And then, you know, starting over with a partner, I mean, that was pretty tough.
There's other questions. Don't go into that one. We'll answer those, the partner part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does it look? Good, bad, or ugly? You know, if you had to average it off, it's going to be a tough uphill battle, but it's just like climbing any hill or any mountain. You're going to get to the top and then you'll enjoy the benefits of having gone through that.
Yeah, totally. I think, aren't we both going to answer it?
You just said that we're going to take turns.
Yeah, by asking the first person. Yeah, you just like hogged that, you fucker.
Well, that's why I was like, okay, I guess I'm taking on all this question.
No, dipshit.
Wasn't what we talked about.
No, that's not, okay. Well, I want to add, you know, there were times where you felt really shitty about yourself and you like word vomited. We went for a walk, remember that one day where you were just like really sad and felt really awful. And we went for a walk in the neighborhood and I didn't say anything. I just held your hand and I let you just say all the things you were feeling. I'm a piece of shit. I'm this, I'm that, I suck. And I'm like, okay, like that's okay. That's okay to feel that way. But I think the trick is you can feel it for so long, but don't feel it forever.
Yeah.
Because I'd hold you accountable and be like, that's bullshit. Like, yeah, sure. The house, like being, you know, for sale for a really long time. That was just part of it. And now that that's over, it's like, okay, was it really that bad? Sure, it was a year. But you survived. We survived. I think the question, like, how do you start loving yourself? I think the key is you have to allow yourself to feel the negative. You can't just bottle it up and be like, oh, I'm not gonna beat myself up over this. I think you need to. I think you need to like purge all the self-doubt, all the self-loathing, whatever you're feeling, so that you can get it out. I like to journal. I like, in your case, if that was like my house not selling, I would write down all the things I'm thinking, all about myself, about the situation, and I would just get it all out on paper and then kind of really just look at it and go, all right, is all this really true? Yeah. And I like asking myself questions a lot. You know, Tony Robbins always says that, like, you know, if you want to quit your job and you're so afraid, ask yourself, what is the worst case scenario? Think of like the most dramatic movie type scenario. I quit my job, my house sets on fire, my dog's inside, he dies, like, and you just completely spiral into worst case scenario. And then you look at it, you go, is that really gonna happen? And then, okay, what is like the most realistic thing that could happen? All right, I quit my job and I can't find my ideal dream job right now, but guess what? There's a million places, at least in our area, that are looking for employees. So it might not be your dream career when you quit your job that you hate, and you might go into a stepping stone position, but it's getting you closer to your dream job because you're taking action, little steps at a time, and trusting the process. So for me, loving myself and rebuilding, I share more personal. He's very vague in your stories, so I will share, and I will be the more personal one. When I was pregnant, going through my divorce, I felt like my self-worth was like the lowest I think it could ever be. I felt like I was thrown away like garbage, and I put so much into my marriage, so I felt like a fool. I felt like a fucking idiot for putting so much and contorting my values and myself into something for my husband at the time so that I would get love. And then I did all that, and then I get freaking just pushed aside because I clearly wasn't that important. So I had to start building my own self-esteem back up. And that took a lot. That took years. And I now know, like, that wasn't all me. Like, I can now logically look at it and like that was my reality. But if I really look back on it, like my self-esteem, yeah, it was really low, but I still had so much to give the world. I had so much to give my loved ones. I started writing on sticky notes all the people that were there for me, all the people that even shared, like, that didn't really know me, but said, like, you're so strong for, like, what you're going through, and, like, writing blog posts that help others. So, like, when I was low, I wanted to give back to people so that they didn't have to, like, feel the feelings that I was feeling in that moment. So I was able to shift the whole situation from all about me to, yeah, I'm in a really shitty spot, but here's what you guys can learn from it so you don't have to go through that. So that helped me with self-love and feeling value in myself. And then life being alone, like, thank God I had a newborn. So my time was focused mainly on just being a new mom. And in those quiet moments, I would journal, I would read books. I was able to identify the triggers and the things that I don't want to bring into a new relationship. So when Pat and I got together, I was very upfront in the questions, the conversations that we had. I asked him very direct, what was your part in your marriage falling apart? And most people who are not aware are going to skirt around that or deflect and say, no, it was all them type of thing. So I knew I wasn't going to put up with somebody who wasn't able to take on their shit. So that's what I did with you. I did it with myself. Like, what was my part in my marriage falling apart? Like, why did I try so hard for so many years when it was clearly not reciprocated? Well, I didn't want to be divorced. But in reality, I still value marriage highly. But I think, you need to be married to the right person who can meet you in the efforts and can want to be better with you. So you can only push a rock up for so long by yourself until it just rolls back and squishes you.
Yeah, there's a difference in saying that you're willing to do that, wanting to do that, and actually showing that you're wanting to do that with somebody.
Yeah. I always say, my mom always said when I was little, actions speak louder than words. And I was too blinded by love, and I want to be married and brag that I've been married 25 years. But there comes a time where it's like, how long do I want to feel empty and depleted inside because I'm trying to make this marriage work to make somebody who isn't happy. And I didn't. So that's it.
So hopefully that answers that question for you guys.
All right. Oh, you go.
Oh, sweet. I got to read. How did your past relationships shape what you're looking for or avoiding when we met?
Okay. Well, I kind of went into what I was just saying. My past relationship involved somebody who I don't think is happy with themselves. And so I try to be the happiness that, try to fill the void that he had inside himself. And in doing that, I was losing myself and my values and my own identity. So that was a big one. I was really almost always in fight or flight in some way. I was always afraid of saying or doing something that would cause some negative response. So I hated that. I hated feeling like I was walking on eggshells in my own home. And when I brought something up or addressed something, it was always like my fault. So if I shared something that was bugging me in the relationship, it was all my fault. My belief system in that relationship was, if I share, it's just going to get thrown in my face. So I'm just going to stop sharing and I'm just going to internalize it and I'll just pretend that I'm living alone. That's not really good. So it made our relationship, when we met, like I was very like, I don't need you. Like if you got quiet, I thought you were mad at me. And that was like a big thing that happened also in my childhood. So like I basically went from my childhood experiences and having my mom remove talking if something I said upset her, and then I married somebody like that. So it was like all that I knew, but I knew I hated it. So with you, I would catch myself, but I also verbalized that with you like right away.
Yeah, you did.
And I said, this is what I do. And you remembered it. You took it on, not like I was making an excuse, but like I feel like I was reaching out a hand, like help me through this.
Mhm.
And you did. So I never wanted to be in another relationship where tough conversations couldn't be had because it wasn't like a mutual conversation. It wasn't a dialogue. It was well, you did this 6 weeks ago. It's like, what? We're talking about this thing. And why are you bringing up another issue? So I avoided with you, or in relationships, for a long time, I just avoided relationships. I just didn't want to deal with anybody else's shit because I knew that my stuff didn't matter and I was sick of catering only to one person's needs and mine not being reciprocated.
I think for me, I was more avoiding repeating the same mistakes again, where I was shut down, shut off, wasn't comfortable in my own home, didn't feel like it was a home. There was no communication. There was no dialogue. I felt almost cornered, if you will, and pushed into doing whatever we were going to do that day.
Like you had no say?
I had a say, but I think it was like a pity thing where it's like, well, I'll let you talk and get it out of your system, but you're still going to do what I have set out to have. I told myself that in a new relationship, I'm going to communicate. I'm going to speak up when I feel disrespected. And I just didn't do it in the past.
Well, like you said before in the beginning, the phrase that you shared with me when we were new, very new, was the whole shut up and color. Can you explain what that means?
So shut up and color is a term that I learned in the Marine Corps. Regardless of what the task was, you are given the task and it is your job to shut your mouth and do what you're told. And an easy way to put those into words for Marines to remember, because we're narrow-minded, knuckle-dragging morons, was for us to say shut up and color. So I felt like probably my last few years of my relationship with my ex was me doing a hell of a lot of shut up and color.
And then that builds resentment.
Yeah. And, I resented the house. I resented people in the house, the job that I was doing. I became very jaded to everything. And, some people were like, oh, you're always pissed off or you're always in a bad mood. And yeah, I was, because I had no outlet, nothing. And, I said, going forward in a relationship, I want to have that open line of communication. And I want to feel loved, not just told that I'm loved, but I want to feel it. I want to have the open line of communication where I can tell you what's bothering me and you listen to it. So that's what I was looking for. It was just somebody to share life with who wholeheartedly wanted to be with me. And I knew that it was like some fairy tale idea that I'd find somebody who would be able to reciprocate everything I'm feeling and there'd be no issues and no complaints and no concerns. But, that's some made up shit, because everybody's got problems. And when we have problems, which are very few and far between for you and I, but when there are problems, we talk about them and we address them immediately. And instead of compartmentalizing it and then bringing it back 6 weeks later, like your ex did for you, it's just something that we do. It's like, we check each other, 1 to 10, and we give each other, we give each other this scale of 1 to 10, and 1 being, I hate your guts and I don't want to see your face, and 10 being everything's great and I'm very happy. So we just, randomly throughout every day, pretty much, we just say, hey, 1 to 10.
You mean you do?
We do.
You start it.
No, you asked me on occasion.
Yeah, like 10% of the time.
And if it's anything below 10, we're like, hold up, why?
Yeah, we're like spoiled now.
Yeah,
You're like, I'll be like 9.5. You're like, what the fuck? How did I
Yeah,
get that?
how do you get a half point?
Yeah. And it's
So-
something like normally like he had to go to work and I'm upset
Yeah,
that he's going to work.
but then we also set the hard rule of know that 1 to 10 scale is only to do with you and I. It's not to do with my work or your work or any outside entity. So I don't know. I would suggest maybe using that if you,
Or whatever. We
even if
tend
just
to-
for fun.
the two of us tend to do a 1 to 10 or percentage like naturally or like in our own lives. So it's easy for us to come to that, like the rating. Not when it comes to pain. On a scale from 1 to 10, how's the pain in like your hip? I'm like, I don't know. I freaking went recycling and drove my own car to the ER when my fallopian tube ruptured. Like, I don't know pain. I don't understand it. So next question. What insecurities or fears did each of you bring into this relationship? And how did you support each other through them?
So, wow. So this is tough for me to answer because I grew up fearing very little.
Yeah,
even though
but
I-
insecurities and fears in a relationship. I'm not talking about fears.
what insecurities and fears?
But that's how I'm going to ask it because you're saying you're not afraid. So what were some insecurities and fears that you had in a relationship?
Try that.
Okay.
And I
What
can answer.
insecurities did each of you bring into this relationship and how did you support each other through them?
I mean, I had a dad bod. I had a nice round beer belly, inner tube around my waist.
It was cute.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. So physical insecurities, I really just let everything go. My last couple of years, I just didn't have a drive. So I had a physical insecurity, financial insecurities. I've got a house on the market and it's not selling, and I'm like stressing hard. How's this going to pan out? So I had that insecurity as well. What do I have to offer you? I mean, look at it on paper. You look at me on paper versus you on paper, and people are going to go, why the hell are you guys?
What do you mean?
I'm just some fucking war veteran cop and really had nothing to offer in life. And that's the insecurity that I brought forward. I've expressed those to you, and then you have supported me in that by providing me with some confidence.
You are worthy of my love because you treat me well and you love me, and the way that you look at me, the way that you talk to me, like I know you love me. Like that, you could be the ugliest man in the room, which you are, and I wouldn't be with you if you were. But
Sometimes.
But for me, like my insecurities was I'm not worthy. Like I'm worthless. I'm so controlling. I'm negative. All the things that I was told in, my past relationship, I believed after a while. And I got my little tattoo on my wrist. It's like what's it called? A prairie star. And I took away a petal to make it 4 petals to make a plus sign. So I would always remember that I am optimistic. I am positive. But for so many years, I started to believe and I didn't like myself anymore. I'm like, God, I'm negative. Like, what's wrong with me? And like this self-loathing that I've never had in that way started to show its face. So when you came in, I'm like, great. He's going to think I'm beautiful. He's going to think I'm so smart. And then pretty soon he's going to see that I'm controlling, that I'm this, that I'm all these bad things. And like how you support me through that. I don't know. You just show up and you don't complain about those things ever. Like when I say it took me a while, I was so afraid I didn't know how to ask like for help if I started cleaning the house, because if I left out I love to-do lists, and I use like scrap paper and I tear it into quarters, and so I have like literally it's like a flashcard size piece of paper, and there's at least one out at all times, right?
There's 2 on the counter right
There's
now.
2 on the counter right now. One is stuff before snowfall, which we still haven't had, but it was chores around the house to prep for winter. In my old self, I was terrified with Pat, and when we were new, I was terrified that if I left those out on the counter, he would view them as me telling him what to do and how to spend his free time. And I'll never forget that first time I see you reading it, and I could feel my heartbeat like speeding up. I was ready for you like to get mad at me. And you picked up a pen and you checked something off. And I was like, what did you just do? And you're like, well, I did this thing. And I'm like, wait, what? You read it and you contributed and you added something? Like you added something on the bottom line? I could not comprehend. And so like those insecurities of me being too controlling, I'm too type A, you are the same way pretty much.
Mhm.
Like, so we complement each other so well in that aspect. And so my insecurities of feeling too controlling or too this, too that, I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, no, I'm not. He respects and he values me making these to-do lists because it helps both of us stay on track. So the house is ready. The gutters are clean. The, side by side has the winter doors on it. So like our life is better because of my quote unquote controlling trait.
Right.
So those insecurities were just because I was with the wrong person who didn't value them. So when you find somebody who just like kind of flows and jives with your way of doing things, it just makes life so much easier.
Like in Jack.
Jab turkey.
Yeah.
This is your question. What?
What is a misunderstanding that you had early in your relationship that actually brought you closer once you solved it?
You being quiet was you mad? But then I addressed it right away through my therapy, my couples therapy with my previous relationship. I would share that I would walk on eggshells. And she goes, yes, but that is you perpetuating your habit. She goes, one way to break your habit is address the thing that you're tiptoeing around right away. So like you said, there are things that I knew in my past relationship that I didn't want to do again. That was one of them. So I started to say, hey, I'm telling myself that you're mad at me. And you look at me, you're like, what? Why? I'm like, because you're just quiet. You're in the kitchen. Are you resenting me because you're cooking and I'm, cleaning? Like, do you want me to cook? Like, I was just so ready for you to blow up on me.
Mm.
And so when
I'm like, no, I don't want to cut my fucking finger off when
Yeah.
I'm cooking a potato.
Or you'd be like, what? Like, you'd look at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. So then it became a joke where you would then say, oh, by the way, I'm not mad at you, like out of the blue. You would just share that.
Mm.
And so it then became a joke to the silence. It brought levity to that topic. So that was a big misunderstanding. And your RBF, like your face,
Yeah.
Sometimes you look pissed off. That's just your face. So the way that we solved that is I know that you just have RBF.
Yeah. Man, I'm sitting here trying to think, and there's really
No, there are things. There are things for sure. Like, I don't like when I'd ask you to help me with something, like you'd start doing it like you had no say. Like, I don't remember an example though, but I remember you just kind of doing it to get it done. And I'm like, what's going on? And you're like, well, like, I wish I could remember.
I was probably in Shut Up and Color
Yeah.
in my mind.
You were in Shut Up and Color. And I knew that was, I think the key with all of this, like what's kind of like the umbrella in a new relationship is we talked about our triggers. We talked about our insecurities right off the bat.
Yeah, we did.
Like
Before
immediately.
we started dating, really.
Yeah. I said, like, I'm controlling. I like things done my way. I'm super OCD, and that can piss people
Well,
off if
I'm
you're
like-
not.
I'm like, this is going to be fun because so am I.
Yeah. I remember when we had like our first lunch date and I saw you straighten the straws that were on the counter or on the table. You lined them up perfectly. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. You can always tell, you see somebody straightening something. You're like, I know your type.
Right.
How do you handle conflict differently from your past relationships? What actually works now?
All right. So past relationships. Early on, conflict was, it just depended on the personality type that I was dating. Sometimes it'd be a very direct approach to the conflict. And other times I was with somebody who avoids conflict at all costs. And I'm alpha. I'm very forward. I'm very blunt. I'm very black and white.
I like your alpha.
So I handle conflict directly. If I'm confronted with any type of conflict, whether it's at work or it's at home or in a relationship or with my dog or...
Wait. So you're saying you handle conflict directly. So you said, unlike your other relationship, you just turned off.
Yeah.
So that's like...
Because when you talk at a wall for long enough and you hear nothing back, you just stop.
Yeah, I know what that's
So
like.
what actually works now? The same thing. I'm very direct. I'm very forthcoming. And I just tell you, hey, this is bothering me. Or you can piece it together based off of what I'm out loud saying that, okay, I'm irritated at this topic. And
I normally can tell by your face and I say, what's wrong?
well, even if I'm not in the room and we're just on the phone, you can tell in my voice. And what works now is that we just talk about it and communicate. Communication is going to be the answer to 90% of these flashcards that we have in front of us, because in all of my past relationships, anytime something got hard, it was like, okay, this is hard, so bye. It doesn't really matter about the past because...
Well, what actually works now?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It didn't matter about the past because I handle conflict the exact same way.
What's different? What's
different is you listen, you piece together what I'm saying, because sometimes I'm in a conflict and I'm like, front door, back door, I'm here. And you're like, okay, can we say that again so humans can understand it? What I think works for us is you have the ability to comprehend what I'm saying. You typically come up with a resolve before you open your mouth and just start saying, oh, it's your fault because of this and this. You don't blame shift. You just, you listen to what I'm saying, and then you analyze whether or not it is something that we actually need to argue or fight or whatever about, which doesn't really occur.
I know. One of the questions was like, how do you handle arguments? And I'm like, I remember there was one, and it was not even an argument. It was, you were about to leave the house upset. Do you remember you put your shoes on? And I said, rules of engagement.
Yeah.
I said, you are not allowed to leave the house upset and without saying goodbye to me. And you took your shoes off and came back in, and you didn't leave because we talked about it. So how do I handle conflict differently? So my answer is a little different, because the way I used to handle conflict was, like, shut off, just shut off, like disassociate almost, because I felt like I was being scolded. And if I shared, it didn't matter because they weren't listening. Me going through couples therapy, and that was the best thing that I did, because I apply it to our relationship, is, when something's being said, and it might be, you did this, you did that, you did that, and I'm listening. Okay. And first you communicate to the hurt, you validate them first, and then, the word you avoid at all costs is you. Because if you keep pointing the finger at the other person, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to get defensive. So if Pat, you come at me with, you did that, which you haven't, you also start with like, I'm really upset. And I'll be like, why? What happened? And then you say, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I can see how that situation could be perceived that way. Like, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for it to come off that way. And then I normally, and we don't have arguments like this, but the trick is then asking, can I now share my side? Can I share my perspective of this situation? And if that other person is still worked up and upset, you let them word vomit all of it out. You continue to delay your own gratification in the situation, and you validate that person and their hurt first. Because if you try to share your hurt while the other person has their hurt unidentified and invalidated, they're not going to hear you.
Mm-hmm.
So what actually works in those situations, like when your house and all the drama around the house happened, at first you felt like shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I just listened, because in that moment I knew that a solution was not what you needed. You just needed to feel. You needed to feel like I was there for you. And then I don't even think that day we talked about solutions or steps.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like, all right, let's just feel the feelings. So handling conflict, I think, really involves respecting your partner, hearing their feelings, validating their feelings, and then coming from a place of, all right, can I now share? And if you get the yeah, go ahead. Okay. In that situation, I was a little overwhelmed because, the kids were crying. We had to get somewhere, and I felt like you weren't respecting my timeline to get out of the house. So I might have come off really short because I was rushed and stressed out. Then you'd be like, oh, like, okay, like, all right, next time maybe we communicate that. Like I say, hey, I've only got 5 minutes to be in the house. Like, can you help me get Hendrix dressed or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and communicating. And for me, like, asking for help is hard. It's a lot easier after my pregnancy. Like, that's when I started the practice of asking for help and calling loved ones and saying, like, I'm really not okay being alone right now. Like, can you please come over? And that was really difficult at first. What I realized in those moments, when you open yourself up for vulnerability, those people that you are vulnerable to, you get so much closer to them, and they feel like so important. Like, you give them that power of feeling needed. Like, how many times when somebody calls you and says, like, I just really need you right now,
Mm-hmm.
do you go, oh God, you needy bitch? Or you're like, wow, like they called me for help.
Yeah. Anytime a friend like that would reach out and say, hey dude, I need somebody to talk to. I need some help right now. Given my past experiences, it typically means a dark hole that person's in. So it's just drop everything you're doing and go talk to him.
But don't you then feel like important to them?
Yeah.
And you feel closer to them, right?
And even in that instance where my friend needs me, it could be life or death. Such and such is suicidal. Instead of just bailing out the door, I would then just look at you and say, hey babe, I got to go to Denver. My buddy's, got a gun to his head or whatever, depending on where we're at. But that's an extreme example, but yeah, just communicate and have some self-worth, and know that regardless of whatever problem began the conflict, that you can just get through.
I'm not.
Liar.
Don't ask me.
Liar.
No.
You can get through conflict without a problem. What was the moment that you started crying, and why?
No, I don't want to be all red-faced and teary-eyed.
Okay, fine. What was the moment that you both realized, all right, this is different?
When I realized that it was different, you weren't just a typical douche, was when I asked in text, like, what was your part in your relationship not working? And you didn't reply for a while, but it was because you were writing like a novel back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you took ownership. And I was like, oh shit, like, he doesn't want to do this again. Like, he wants a relationship that's going to work. He doesn't want me just because I'm new and shiny and he had a crush on me.
Mm-hmm. For me, the first time I realized that it's different, I would say when we did our first ride, we were sitting in lunch, and I was just fully engaged in conversation, and it was a back and forth, and it was good conversation. It was meaningful conversation. It was a relief in the moment when I realized, oh my God, like, you're beautiful, you're funny, you have the ability to communicate. And we can hold a dialogue, and it felt awesome. And I remember after we were done, you were like consuming my thoughts, and I'm like, what is going on? So I think that for me, it was then.
So the open dialogue was what made it feel different.
Yeah, it made it feel different, and it was intelligent dialogue. It was heartfelt dialogue. It wasn't you just making shit up to sound good, you know?
I do that all the time, though.
What? Make shit up to sound good? I know. That's terrible.
I'm full of
We
shit.
really need to stop it.
What are your core values as a couple, and how do you keep them at the center of your relationship?
We created our rules of engagement, which basically is an outline of what we expect from each other.
And that one is episode...
Well,
Is it 12? It was like a no episode name. It was subscription based only because
9.1.
it's like our personal rules that we enforce as a couple.
But, I'm a Marine, so the two words, core values, immediately before you were done saying values in my head and almost out loud, I said honor, courage, commitment, because that's the Marine Corps. As a couple, we don't really have any direct core values set
I
up,
would say so.
but not directly like outlined, like these are our core values and we shall follow.
I mean, I think our core values are our feelings matter to each other.
Yeah, words matter, feelings matter, but again, I don't think it's a core value. I think it's more of we just understand each other and understand when we are adamant about something, that we care about it. And once I have learned that you care about something, I pay attention to that, and you do the same. And then how do I keep them at the center of a relationship? So
you don't have an answer.
I think respect is like one of the biggest things for both of us.
Yeah.
We both had relationships in the past where we didn't feel respected. We didn't feel heard. We didn't get the enjoyment or the ability to communicate in a full conversation with good dialogue.
Well, that's respect.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I would say the biggest value that you and I have is respect. And we keep that at the center of a relationship because, I mean, if you wanted to destroy any relationship, period, disrespect the other person and watch what happens.
Totally. Eye rolling, sarcasm, disregarding their feelings. The Gottman Institute talking about moving towards versus moving away. And you did it this morning. I said something in the other room and you were like, yeah, babe. And I was like, oh, he just moved towards me, even though he didn't have to. You didn't have to say anything in what I said, but I noticed it this morning. You were in the shower. So I think core values for us as a couple is, yes, definitely respect. I think we both want to make sure that each other, we respect and we value their feelings. We value their opinions. We care about their struggles, like your struggles or my struggles, that type of mindset. Like we're a team.
Yeah.
So I'd say like you always say, I got you. So I think a core value is like we both have each other's backs.
Where do our personalities balance each other out? And where do they clash in a funny and good way?
We're very structured, like logistically. So that's nice to just be like, all right, what's the plan? Because I'd never had that. I had like zero communication. Like you see it with co-parenting. It's really fucking fun. Our personalities, we like to know exactly like what time we'll leave, when we'll get there, like the route in which we'll take. We both seem to thrive off of having to-do lists. And it's not like I need you to do these honey-do lists. It's like, no, this is our household and these things need to get done. So we're very structured. We communicate. You over-communicate, like sometimes, not to a fault, but like, I'm getting in my car. I'm passing this exit, literally play by play. I don't necessarily need every step. I don't find it annoying though. So like, I do appreciate you keeping me in the loop. We each share each other's locations. So like, we know where each other is. Like I think we're just upfront, no bullshit. So that, and then how do we clash? Well, I'm a hippie and he has to put up with a lot of shit, but he makes fun of me in a sweet, loving way. Like when I talk to my plants and animals, and just like the face you make is like, I love you, you're crazy. It's not like you fucking, God, you're annoying. It's yeah, you're annoying in a loving way. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, but I'm never going to talk to plant.
Yeah, you find it endearing, the weird shit that I do. So, and a lot of it you started to, take on as well. And
I don't talk to plants.
yeah, but you started stretching.
Well, yeah, that's self-care.
No, but that's also, you called it hippie for a while.
It is hippie.
Yeah. So I think the things that we clash in, we both try to understand each other's viewpoints. We don't go, I don't.
Shot.
Yeah, exactly. I always say, I always try something once and then I can have an opinion. What is your answer to that question?
Yeah. Our personalities definitely can be similar. And like you're saying, we're both regimented. We're both focus driven, mission driven throughout our day. And really what makes it clash for us is just our polar opposites and different views.
Like what?
Like, I want to mow the fucking grass right now. So bad. Because it's just full of pine needles and leaves. And I can't even see the green grass that's under it. We haven't had snow yet. So I would like to get a nice, clean looking front yard. But no, I'll kill the lightning bugs.
You will.
No. I'll kill the bees. No. I'll kill this.
It makes so much sense.
It does this. And,
like the
leaves, mushrooms are growing and and hippie.
Yeah, we are all connected, and we've somehow all been brainwashed to think that a green, immaculate golf course looking front yard is good for anything. It's not.
Aesthetics.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Why? Why does it look good? Why have we accepted that?
Because I grew up in Los Angeles and everybody's lawn looked great.
I know, and it drives me nuts because I was the same way. Like, I lived in like the freaking wealthiest zip code in the country growing up. So the mansions had, like lawn care men doing shit every day, and it looked like carpet, and that's what I grew up accepting and knowing.
Yeah, but I think Pedro was for the miserable wife.
Yeah. Our guy name was Mardonio.
What?
Yeah.
Mardonio. Cool.
But anyway,
I just basically agree with.
Yeah. So you shut up and color in that sense, because I'll kill you if you kill all the eggs of the butterflies and the moths. So you leave my
the living complex yard.
It is living. Look at how much growth we've had.
I'm messing.
Yeah, but we have mushrooms and we have all kinds of wildlife here because it's happy. It's an ecosystem. Oh, shit.
What rituals or routines help you reconnect when life gets chaotic?
We shake our ass. We go outside. The other day when my son was really whiny, driving me nuts, I looked at you and I said, can we take the dogs for just a quick walk? Like, I need to get outside. So I think getting outside, even sometimes just us sitting on the couch together, long hugs. We hug a lot. Naked, skin to skin, which doesn't just end up just being skin to skin ever. But I like that we can't not do that.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm annoyed. There's sometimes when I'm annoyed and you're pantless and you're standing in my doorway while I'm working at the computer, and then you pick me up and disrupt my work flow.
To get over it.
But I do get over it in like 10 minutes. But I think having fun, that's a big thing. Always messing with each other, scaring each other.
We don't have to reconnect when life gets chaotic because we do life together. And when life gets chaotic, it's already happening at the same time. So for us to reconnect with each other, it's basically just when like our schedules are a little bit different, like, or if you're in Florida or the Bahamas, or you're in China or Japan or Thailand or whatever country you guys were supposed to be in and you ended up not going there, Alexa, or I have to work nights this night and we had hoped to do something together, couldn't, then how do we reconnect? Well, we just communicate.
Sometimes I silently am more hurt than I share because I know that your schedule is, you can't change it. So I normally am just like, God damn it. Like, I thought he'd have tonight off. Like, he worked so many days in a row and
Yeah, like tonight.
yeah, like tonight. So that's just how it is right now. So I just kind of accept it and go with it. So yeah, I mean, to reconnect, I might sometimes say like, I just miss you. Or you'll ask me 1 to 10. That's definitely one that reconnects us. With
Yeah.
something.
And, when you verbalize, hey, I miss you, I'm not used to that. So it's previous relationships, I'm not used to that.
And I don't like saying it because
Why not?
Because my dad traveled so much as a kid. And like, I think it was like out of the 52 weeks out of a year, he traveled like 49. And so I hardly saw him. And so if I was able to just shut off him in a way, it just didn't make missing him as painful. So when like you're out of town, I notice me doing it. I start to kind of take steps back.
I noticed.
Yeah.
I'll call you out on it.
I know. And then you'd be like, hey, where'd you go? And I'm like, I was missing you. So I just ghosted you. Like, so that's something that I'm still working through.
Not very nice. I miss you. I'm not going to talk to you.
I don't know. Like, it just reminds me you're not here. So I'm like, I'm just going to stay busy and preoccupy myself elsewhere and like be productive. And then you're like, I didn't talk to you all day. And I'm like, well, yeah, that was on purpose. Working on that still. Don't do it. All right. How do you maintain your relationship while also navigating co-parenting schedules, kids, emotional needs?
Oh, so, I would say you have to prioritize. We're big on outlining our day. So I think when we do those, we prioritize what's needed first, needs first, then wants. And then because we're not shitty people, we put our kids before ourselves. So when our kids are with us, then it's like, okay, what do the kids need? X, Y, and Z. Okay. They have those things. What do the kids want? X, Y, and Z. Okay. We knock those things out. And then what do you need? What do you want? What do I need? What do I want? And then what do we need? Depends on the day, but most of the time it's structured in that order.
Like our whiteboard?
Yeah, we have multiple whiteboards in the house. Navigating co-parenting. Well, yes. I'd say navigating co-parenting, you get frustrated at the way my ex handles things. I get frustrated at the way your ex handles things. But again, the boring C word, we communicate. And at the end of the communication, it's like, okay, well, that's not your fault that he's being a dick. It's not my fault that she's being silent. You can't force the other party to do something. And reverting back to some training that I just had, and I showed it to you yesterday, but it's basically the gist is control the things that you can control, and that which you cannot, don't let it overwhelm your thoughts.
I think, yeah, like you were saying, like navigating co-parenting and when drama is going on outside of us.
Yeah.
And I might get worked up, like you reel me in and you're like, hey, that's not us. Like, let him do this or let her do that. Like, it's not really affecting us. The only time when I get pissed is if like the kids are put in the middle in the co-parenting drama.
Right.
Like that, I think is manipulative and fucked up. So that's like one hard line that has been only crossed like a little bit. But I feel like if it starts to affect the children, then that it will be addressed, but we'll be a team in that.
100%.
So co-parenting is fucking hard because you aren't able to be like, hey, this is the way we discipline. We need you to do the same. Like, we need you to address this. Like, I try, but it's not necessarily reciprocated or even, viewed as important in their eyes. So and like schedules, it's hard. His schedule changes all the freaking time. And my co-parenting schedule changes. It's not the same every week. So there's a lot of variabilities and like volatility. It could be, because like we're regimented and structured, But like, at least like the whiteboard, I've had that whiteboard for probably 6 years. You are the first person that has ever contributed to the things that I put on there. So to have somebody go Tuesday, all right, Jackson has a chiropractic appointment and I have this, I have to go in early for my meeting. Like, okay, so we have a little bit of time in the morning to prioritize for us.
Yeah. We just make it work. And
making time.
What's the trick to it? There's no trick. Just figure out a way. If you want it to work, it'll work.
Yeah. There was like, 6 months where we hadn't had a date night. And then it was 6 months.
Right.
And then you came in and you were like, do you want to have a lunch date with me? And I was like, yes. I like dropped everything and we went and had a date. But like, it didn't have to be date night. It was a lunch date. But we got
one last night.
Yeah, we did. And, making time. And every single one is going to come back to communication. Like, so many people, I'm not going to communicate that. Like, why do I have to tell them that what they did made me happy? Like, well, then how the fuck will they know if they did something that made you happy? If you're unwilling to share, like, how are you guys going to get closer and work together on being a better couple? What was that question?
What we just answered.
What did I answer?
Co-parenting, it's all right to talk about. You just cover it.
Well, I mean, there's more about co-parenting.
Well, yeah.
The shit that people don't want to talk about it. Like, a question was, how do you navigate co-parenting, and can you talk about the things that a lot of people don't want to talk about openly? Obviously, most people know that it's hard, but I think the hardest part is knowing that the structure and the home that I've created might not look the same elsewhere, and being okay somewhat. I'm still not really. Being okay knowing that he might not have that stability where he can feel safe. And that sometimes brings me to tears because I want him to be in a structured environment where, you go to school on these days, I pick you up at this time, you go to bed at this time, you stay in your own bed. We've been trying to sleep train, but it's not viewed as highly in the other household as much as it is here, probably because there's 2 of us sleeping in a bed compared to 1. So it's not a priority. So like accepting that you can't control the other person in the way they parent. That's the hardest part for me.
What is the biggest personal growth moment you've experienced because of each other?
That my concerns, my feelings matter. That's huge. I've noticed that I've shared stuff with you pretty bluntly. And you're like, okay. At first, it was like touching like an electric fence. Like, I want to ask this, but like the anticipation of like the pain, I was so afraid to. And then now I'm like there's no electric fence. So I can just say how I'm feeling. And I don't necessarily need to think of how I'm going to deliver it in a certain way to get the outcome or to feel heard. I'm obviously still aware of your feelings and being respectful and delivering it in a human way, but I can just share with you.
I think for me, the biggest personal growth moment because of us, I think I am a gentler person. I can be very direct at times, and my demeanor, I'm not feeling angry or upset or mad, but sometimes my resting bitch face and my
Tone.
very loud tone. There's been many times where I'm in a good mood, I'm happy, but I'm loud, I have resting bitch face, and I'm about to tell the kids to knock it off or something. And you're like, hey, babe. And I'm like, oh, like, sorry. And then I'll smile, hey guys, and I'll shift my resting bitch face. But I think you've just shaped me into a gentler human in general. I give a little more shit about nature. I care about what goes in my body. I care about fitness. I care about the little things that I would never even stop to look at. So for me,
So it made you more of a hippie.
No, not a hippie.
Okay.
I am not a hippie. You just made me a gentler person. And it was awkward at first because I'm like, well, you can't make me feel my emotions. What's the matter with you? So, yeah, I mean, just I'm gentler, calmer.
I'm calmer. I don't think I'm in fight or flight as much. Like I'm like happier in my own skin. I feel just more at ease. You are softer with like the kids, but your softness with me, you've always had that. So I think maybe you just being with me has made you softer. Like I haven't done it, but just our relationship and like the way that we are with each other has opened up our household to be a loving, softer, more calm environment for everyone in it.
Yeah.
Like Jackson's calmer, like my dog. Like he barks at deer, but I would bark at deer if I was an Australian Shepherd.
Yeah, he's a crackhead.
Yeah, but like, you've stepped into being the alpha and I was pretty much the alpha, and I didn't like feeling like I had to be the alpha because I wanted to be in my feminine, but being in my alpha for so long, it was just like, I didn't like it. And then you come in and you're like, like, I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to fix this and I'm going to do shit for you and wash your car and take care of your shit that I don't have to anymore. It's nice. So those are our questions for this episode around new relationships after divorce, co-parenting complexities, old triggers, and how to work around them. Almost every question, the answer is some form of communication. Communication is the number one thing, and the only way to communicate well is to have respect for each other. So as soon as you start to disrespect the other one, I think it's important to own it and say, hey, I'm really sorry that I rolled my eyes. Address it. Don't let things build for days or weeks because it's just going to be an awful environment and hard to get out of that. So the faster that you're able to address things, the faster you're able to get back on track into a positive direction.
Thank you for listening to us. And if you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe button. Let us know what you think. Emails down in the show notes.
Or comment.
Yeah.
I think I want to emphasize comments first because that's what we look at the most. We don't look at how many emails we got out of an episode. I mainly look at, how many people watched it, thumbs upped it, and commented and interacted with us. That gives us an idea of what you guys are enjoying. And that is the only way that we will keep talking about things you want to hear.
Thanks again for listening. And I hope this did something for you. Namaste.